Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, before we get started, the only thing that you'll need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just open up the file that downloads and it'll automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the drawing today. I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen here so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, so this is the color palette that we are going to be working with. So we are actually going to leave our background a bright white color. If you need to set yours though, you can go to the layer menu, click the background color layer to open up the color selector and find bright white, or it is the same as this second color on the last row of the color palette. So if you need to set yours to white, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, we are just going to jump straight into drawing our heart shape donut. So we are going to turn on Symmetry to get a nice heart shape. So to do that, we are going to go to the gear icon in the top left corner under Canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, and then click Edit Drawing Guide and select Symmetry. It should automatically be vertical symmetry, but if yours is not, you can go under the options here and select vertical. Then go ahead and click Done. And then you should see this line down the middle of your canvas. And then the most important thing is that on our layer menu on layer 1 here, it should say assisted on it. If it does not, click on it and turn on drawing assist so that we can use symmetry on this layer. Okay, then let's go ahead and just grab the first color on the first row of our color palette to start the base color of our donut. The brush that we're going to use to start is the monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. We can go ahead and just set that to 100%. And the first thing that I'm going to do is draw the bottom of our donut, and it is also going to be rounded since, a donut wouldn't be pointy anywhere, even though it's a heart shape. So we are going to have like a rounded area at the bottom. So I'm just going to make a perfect circle, about a quarter way up the canvas right in the middle here. Draw a circular shape, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle. Go ahead and click the circle button at the top to adjust it, and I just want a pretty small one like this. This is just going to be kind of the rounded bottom, and then I just kind of dragged them together a little bit so that they're pretty much right on top of each other, not like spaced out like this or anything, like so. Go ahead and grab our pen tool again, and now I'm going to draw some bigger circles here to make the main, side parts of our heart. So let's just start kind of over here, make a nice big circular shape, hold it down until it turns into a perfect shape, and then touch your finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle. Kind of just leave it wherever, and then go ahead and click the circle button at the top to edit it. So I'm going to kind of drag them together here so they meet nicely at the top. And then you can resize them if you need to. If you do need to resize them, just make sure not to touch one of the blue dots because that will change the shape of it. You can always click this circle button to go back to a circle, but you want to touch in between the two blue dots on the line here to adjust it and keep it a perfect circle. So we want them to be a pretty good size. And then they just overlap a little bit in the middle here. It doesn't really matter, just kind of depending on, this just makes it wider or less wide, so I want it like a pretty good width, so maybe about right here. Again, leaving this part about a quarter from the top of the screen. Then we will grab our brush tool again, and I'm going to draw a curved line from this to connect them. So I'm going to start on the left side here, just kind of on the left side of this circle, draw a curved line towards the bottom, hold it down till it turns perfectly curved, and then go ahead and let it go and click this edit arc button at the top to change the arc a little bit. So we just want like a pretty nice curve to it, and then we want it to meet up nicely with our circle at the bottom here, nice and smooth. So if you zoom in here, you can see kind of, there's like a little bump where they meet, and I don't want that. I want it to be nice and smooth, so I'm just going to adjust it till it's pretty seamless. on the side over here as well. Once that all looks good, I will go ahead and start filling everything in. So go ahead and drag and drop. Hold your pen on the screen and drag to the right a little bit just to make sure that our threshold is nice and high and we don't have a gap where our color inside meets the lines that we drew. So if you zoom in, there would maybe be a little gap here where you can see our white background, and we don't want that. So if you need to, you can even just cover that up with your brush, but go ahead and just fill everything in nice and good, smooth anything out that you need to. But otherwise, this is the start of our donut. I do want it to be a little bit closer to a more round shape, so I am going to just make a nicer curve on the side here. It's still just a little bit too straight here. Since it's a donut, it would still be very round. So I'm just going to start on the left side here. Going to draw like another curved line. Go ahead and edit it, make sure it's nice and smooth. There we go, and then I will just fill in the rest of this as well. So just want it to be really nice and round, like so. That looks better. So make any adjustments if you need to, however you want it to look. I have a little bit less space on the top than on the bottom, so I'm just going to go ahead and drag my donut down a little bit. So I'm going to click the arrow tool. Make sure that snapping is turned on in the bottom left, and I'm just going to drag it straight down, keeping it on the vertical yellow line, and then we did just snap it to the horizontal yellow line as well, so that means that we're perfectly in the center of the canvas. So that looks good. Okay, and so now we're going to make the cutout for it. So to do that, we are going to go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of this heart layer, make sure we're on the one on the top, and grab our white color again, the second one on the last row, and drag and drop that to fill that in. So now we don't see anything, but then we'll click the arrow tool, set it to uniform, and we are going to downsize this quite a bit. And now you can see our previous, heart shape. So just keep downsizing it on uniform and dragging it to the center here to kind of line it up. And this is essentially going to be the whole of our donut. So just keep resizing and recentering until you like the way that it looks. Okay, and now we essentially have a white heart sitting on top of our, brown heart, and we actually want this to be a cutout. So in order to do that, in order to cut out this heart from this heart, we are going to go to our layer menu, and on the white heart here, click on the layer and click select. Make sure that you are on freehand with color fill turned off. And then you should see these diagonal lines all everywhere except for the center where our white heart is. So now we are going to switch back to our brown layer, grab our eraser tool, click on that to open it up, and find the Avalon brush under the materials category. This is just a really huge brush. I have it set to 100%. You should still see the diagonal lines, and I'm just going to drag my brush all around the center here a few times, and then go back to my layers, and you should see a nice perfect cutout in the heart here. So this just helps to give us a nice clean shape to use, and then we can get rid of this other layer, this white heart. So slide to the left and hit delete on that, and everything should still look the same. So we just now have this donut heart layer with a hole cut out of it. So next we're going to just do a little bit more adjusting. Like I said, there wouldn't be any real points on this since it's a donut. So I'm going to grab my eraser again, switch it to the monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. I'll have it set to like 30%, and we do still have symmetry turned on for this layer, but I'm just going to zoom in here on this point here at the bottom of this top area, and I'm just going to very lightly just kind of round it out a little bit so that we get more of a little rounded area. And when you do one side, it should do the other, so it's just a little rounder than it was before and not so pointy. So you can round it as much as you would like to. And then I am going to switch back to my brush, and I am going to switch back to my first color on the first row of our color palette to round out this top area here as well. I'll set my brush to like 30%. And I am just going to make this a little rounder at the top instead of pointy. So something kind of like that, just to make it look more, you know, of a realistic donut shape. Okay, so that is it for our main donut shape, and we can now turn off symmetry. So let's go to the gear icon in the top left and click to turn off the drawing guide so that we don't see the line anymore. We do still have symmetry activated on this layer, so let's go ahead and click on that and turn that off. Turn off drawing assist, so it should no longer say assisted. And then we're going to add a little bit of shading to this, so let's click on this layer and set it to alpha lock. And then we'll grab the second color on the top row of our color palette. And then for our shading brush, we are going to use the soft brush under the airbrushing category. And we will just set that somewhere between like 6 and 8%. And I am just going to go all around the edges here and add a little bit of this kind of darker, warmer color to the edges all the way around. I'm not pushing too hard, just kind of blending it nicely. And then we'll do the same thing on this inside edge as well. Like so. Okay, so now we are going to add the layer of frosting, pink frosting. So we'll go to our layer menu, add a new layer. Grab the first color on the second row of the color palette and switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. I still have it set to about 30%. And essentially I'm just going to go around all the way and make wavy lines inside following our heart shape. So I'm just going to start at the, top here, make some wavy lines. Then I'll kind of stop and readjust. And just keeping it a good amount inside, not really going over the edge anywhere. When I get to the bottom though, I kind of want it to like point there almost to kind of follow the shape of our heart. So, it kind of rounds down right there. And we'll clean it up in a little bit so it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of getting a general shape. Like so, and then we'll do the same thing on the inside. Okay. So now, like I said, we'll just kind of clean it up. You can also like fill it in first if you want to, kind of see how it's looking, and then go around and clean things up. So I'm just gonna smooth lines out so we wouldn't have any like really harsh curves like this. So I'm just gonna kind of smooth those out. It doesn't have to be perfect though, since it is frosting, it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth and perfectly curved, but I want to cover a good amount of it. I don't want it to seem like there's not a ton of frosting on it, So I do want to cover a good amount, and I want it to be kind of even all the way around. And then in a similar way, if you need to, you can use your eraser on the monoline brush and go through and erase parts too if you went too far in one direction, or you want to kind of carve out some nicer curves, you can do that. Switch back to your brush, you know, whatever works. But really just take your time and go around and make it look nice. And to get some nice smooth curves, it's best to just move really quickly. And then if you mess up and it doesn't go the way you want, just undo it and redo it or go over it again. Okay, so I'm going to leave it about there. So work as, you know, long as you'd like to get your frosting the way you'd like it to look. And now we'll add some shading and highlights to our frosting, some more, you know, shading to our donut, and then we'll add the sprinkles. So let's first start with like all the frosting shading. So we'll go to our layer menu on this frosting layer, click on it and set it to alpha lock. Grab the second color on the second row, a darker pink, and we will switch back to our soft brush under the airbrushing category, still at about 6 to 8%, somewhere in there. And I'm just going to again go around the edges with this darker color, all the way around softly and just kind of blending everything together. So again, we'll do the outside edge and then we'll do the inside edge as well. Okay. Then we will grab the next color, the third one on the second row, a lighter pink, and we will focus that more towards the inside of our shape here. Again, very, very lightly so that everything's nice and blended. Like so. And then we will lastly grab the lightest color, the fourth one on the second row, and we can maybe even drop our brush size a little to like 4 to 5%. And I am just going to very, very lightly add this in little sections, so not all the way around, very, very lightly, just kind of like a little strip of it there, maybe a little curve of it up here, just to kind of add like, you know, some extra shine to it. So just kind of something like that all the way around, just in certain areas, not like a big strip or anything. Okay, and then that is it for all of the frosting shading. So next we're going to add a shadow underneath it on top of our original donut layer. So let's go back to our donut layer, grab the third color on the top row, and then same brush, same 4 to 5%. And I'm just going to go around the edges of my frosting now and just make the teeniest little bit of like a shadow underneath it. Just even maybe here and there, not even maybe going all the way around, but just kind of little sections and not going out very far at all. Just to add it a little bit of shadow next to it to get it to kind of pop some more. And then again, same thing on the inside edge as well. Okay, so now it should look like this. And then next we're going to add the sprinkles. So we will add that on a new layer at the very top. So let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer at the very top. Grab the first color on the last row of our color palette, the bright red. And switch back to our monoline brush. I am going to go ahead and set that to 100%, the largest size, and we are just going to make some sprinkles by making some straight lines. So I'll just kind of start over here and I'll make a straight line, hold it down until it snaps into a perfectly straight line. Let it go. Draw another one at like a different angle, and then after it snaps, you can always kind of drag it around, set the angle, set the length. So I'll try to make them all similar length, but just kind of going in different directions. And we don't want to take up too much room with these red ones because we are going to make some white ones as well. So leave some spacing in between some of them, but then some of them can be closer together as well so that they're more random. Okay, so that's all I'll do for the red ones. Then let's grab our bright white color, the second one on the last row, and do the same thing. You can overlap them if you want to. I am probably not going to do that, but you totally can if you want to add a ton of them and see how that looks. Okay, so do that all the way around, and then we're just going to add a shadow to these now as well. So we'll go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of our sprinkles layer. So slide to the left hand, duplicate, grab the bottom one so that we're on that. Click on the layer and set it to alpha lock. Click the N on the layer here to open up this menu and drag it up to multiply. Grab the third color on the bottom row, go back to our layer menu, and on this bottom layer with the alpha lock turned on, click on it and click fill layer. And then you'll see on the layer menu here, it all turned kind of a grayish color. You can't see it here because the other sprinkles are covering it up. But then we will go ahead and click on it again and turn off alpha lock now. So we just turned on alpha lock so that we could fill it in with that color, but now we're going to add a blur to it and we can't have alpha lock on for that. So we will grab our arrow tool and we are just going to move it down and to the left a little bit until you can start to see the shadow underneath it. So just move it a teeny bit. We don't want it to be too far away, like they're really popping off the donut, you know. Turn off snapping if you need to help kind of better be able to move it around. So just the teeniest little bit poking out all the way around, like so. And then we will go to the wand icon, click Gaussian blur, and we'll drag this up to maybe like 3 to 5%, nothing too crazy, somewhere in there, to just get a little bit of a blur so they're not so sharp and they look more natural. Okay, and then lastly, we are going to add a shadow underneath our donut so it just kind of looks like it's floating on our picture. So to do that, we are going to use the same color that we are already on, the third one on the last row. We'll go to our layer menu, add a new layer above everything, and then we are going to grab our selection tool, set it to ellipse with color fill turned on, and I'm just going to start over here to the bottom left of our donut and draw a nice oval, just a small, really skinny one, like so. Let that go. Then you can grab your arrow tool, turn snapping back on, and drag it to the center of the screen where we see our vertical yellow line. You can also resize it if you need to. If you want it, you can either resize it on uniform to make the whole thing bigger, or freeform if you want to make it like wider or skinnier. So whatever you would like, but just make sure to recenter it if you change it at all. You know, we want it to be just a little bit right under our donut here, like so. And then go ahead and click the wand icon, Gaussian blur, and drag this up to about 10%. And then again, if you want to do any resizing, you can resize some more. Just make sure it's centered, like so. But that being said, that is the last step, and that completes our drawing today. So I hope you had fun. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. While you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching!